And these fighters, man, they don't they don't want to take the responsibility, man. They don't want things to change. What do I mean? Um, the only fighter that had the balls to fucking leave this whole fucking thing was Francis, and he got he got out while he can. He got out while he can, and what happened was he fucking did what was best for him. He chose money over, the UFC, over the over the UFC, basically. Yeah, let me just put it like that. He chose money over the UFC, and things are looking good for him. Another situation that was similar was Paulo Costa. Like, Francis' influence was huge, man. If you don't think Paulo Costa was looking at that Francis, because if you think Paulo Costa was not looking at Francis the way he's moving, you are as stupid as I thought, because he did it. I remember a specific moment that Errol Hawani on the MMA Hour, he was asked about his UFC contract, and he stated that he has one fight left, and they wanted him to fight Robert Whittaker for a fucking low amount of money, according to him. And dude, like, during that interview, he fucking mentioned something about boxing. I don't remember what specific he said about boxing when he was touching on that contract. When he was touching on that contract, dispatcher. No, not dispatcher. Departure. At the time, he was thinking, man, I think I gotta leave the UFC. That's how I interpreted. That's how I interpreted that whole situation. I may not remember what he said specifically about him boxing, but I remember the conversation was he was leaning to leaving the UFC, and then boom, the UFC plays the game very well, man. If they can do it to the best fighters in the world, man, like John Jones and who else? The Derrick Lewis's. I'm gonna get there too. The Derrick Lewis's. Paulo Costa is nothing, man. Obviously, they put up the money, and their money, obviously, he sees it as good enough. But outside the UFC, for me, I think he was gonna make a little bit more money. But I may be wrong, cause Paulo Costa was his fucking stock is rising with the memes and being active on Twitter, bashing, bashing certain fighters, and then he's getting the biggest payday of his career, but he's getting paid according to the contract. He's not getting paid according to he's fighting Hamza Chimaev. That's my analysis on the situation on that fight. That's how he's getting paid. That's how the pay structure is. He may have signed a new contract and happy about what he's gonna get paid with the Hamza Chimaev fight, but the next fight, I don't think he's gonna get paid as much as that. For me, Francis has exposed all the tricks of the UFC, Obviously, he went public with his contract disputes, and he got his punishment, man. He got benched. He got benched for fucking long time. He wanted to fight, but the UFC held him back. Motherfucker, you gonna talk about your contract? guess what? We're gonna bench you for that. Which Hamza Chimaev was in a similar situation, but the details of that, they're kind of not disclosed. I don't know nothing about that, But Hamza Chimaev hasn't fought in a long time. Okay, moving on. Derrick Lewis. Oh man, Derrick Lewis Derrick Lewis versus Francis Ngannou. First of all, what I'm gonna say, that means the PFL was not willing to invest more money into fighters. Because after Derrick Lewis won that fight, first thing that fucking boomed, it was like Francis Ngannou versus Derrick Lewis in the PFL for the super pay-per-view event that they have coming up. That's the first thing that I saw on my phone that was blowing up, and I was like, wow, this may happen. And Derrick Lewis convinced us that, man, I'm fucking leaving the UFC. That's how I interpreted that fucking post-fight speech, post-fight press conference, Oh man, he was like, oh man, fuck it, this was my last fight, and whatever, and guess what? I'm a free agent. And he did what he was supposed to do, man. He promoted himself very, 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 very good, according to his last fight. And seeing that, people are gonna want to tune in for whatever Derrick Lewis is doing. And this is where I'm critical about these fighters. I'm gonna get to Jon Jones too, because Jon Jones did exactly what Derrick Lewis did. Obviously, he met up with the UFC. They gave him a new contract. He signed it, and obviously, they know if they give him a short contract, he's gonna go out and fight Francis Ngannou for a bigger check than what the UFC was giving him. That's my opinion. And obviously, I think it's a 7-fight deal, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I need to double check that. But anyways, he signed that deal, a long-term deal. Who knows what the money looks like? Obviously, Derrick Lewis has lost fights before that, and obviously after that last fight, after that last fight, that was amazing. The UFC, I think, had to give him a little bit of, you know what I'm talking about, a little bit of a pump pay. I think they did that, but it's not enough. What you were going to get when you was going to fight Francis in the PFL. And y'all were going to do great numbers too. I'm pretty sure you a bigger name. There was a possibility that Francis versus Derrick Lewis was going to be more interesting than the first than it was in the UFC, because obviously Francis has evolved big time, and Derrick Lewis, he's getting older, but he's also evolving, because his post-fight interview before that fight, he was mentioning how he wasn't healthy, excuses, and I'm like, the fuck out of here, man, you done. And then he comes in and does that. Yeah, money. And then next, move on to Jon Jones. The exact same thing that happened to Jon Jones is the same thing that happens to Derrick Lewis. Jon Jones decides he wants a little bit more money to fight at heavyweight first, and then first of all, the UFC denied him, like, motherfucker, you have a contract with us. You're gonna fight for this amount of money, but it's gonna be at heavyweight. And Jon Jones was like, fuck that. And that's why we never got to see Francis Ngannou versus John Jones. Everybody still anticipated. First of all, okay, back up. Let me say, Francis still has hope that that fight's gonna happen. Francis, that fight is never, ever gonna happen. Why do I say that? The UFC is involved, mate. The UFC is involved. Nobody wants anything to do with Francis Ngannou in the UFC circle. Period. And John Jones just signed a new 7-fight deal that has locked him up, that he's not going anywhere. He's not fighting no Francis. He's not fighting no boxing or fucking whatever. That's how. Let me say, that's just reality. My man, I fucking want to see the Francis Ngannou John Jones fight than the Tyson Fury one. But I want to see Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou more. You know? Because MMA, man. MMA, I bet that Francis Ngannou knocks out John Jones. Obviously, we will never know. John Jones is fucking locked on a 7-fight deal. He's locked. He's not able to. He's not able to do anything outside fighting. I mean, nothing outside fighting, because he's locked. He fucking chose the UFC over, the Francis.